Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Blackshirt Breakdown. My name is Steve Marik. I'm a staff writer at Inside Nebraska, and he is Jay Foreman, our NFL veteran and former Nebraska Blackshirt. Jay, how's it been? It's been a while, man. How you been doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, man. I was we were in a rhythm. It seemed like every other day, and obviously things, slowed up with spring ball. But one thing about this staff, they stay recruiting and stay getting commits. So we're back at it.
Absolutely. So we are back at it with another commit. This one, Gibson Pyle, a 2024 offensive lineman from Klein Kane High School in Klein, Texas. So, Jay, we see the Lone Star State coming up once again. There were 6 members of the 2023 class for Nebraska from the state of Texas. The first 2 for the 2024 class, both from Texas. I mean, what have you seen from Matt Rhule and his eyes geared toward the state of Texas? Obviously, it's a big state with a lot of talented guys in it.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, every school across the nation, goes into Texas and recruits and looks in Texas. So Nebraska is no different now. I think with Matt Rhule and company, his last college stop was Baylor. So that's what he's familiar with. And that's where he had success, recruiting, primarily, I'm sure, 95% of the roster, I'm assuming when he was at Baylor was from Texas. And so, it's a hotbed for him where he's familiar. He still has obviously a ton of relationships there because he wasn't in the NFL for like 10 or 15 years. So, he was there for like 2 or 3 years. So those relationships are still fresh. And, he's got a couple guys on his staff from Texas and administrators as well. And so the connection is there. And, so you expect him to be down there. If you want him to recruit, you go where and where you have connections and you have people down there that can give you intel on players so you can be the first in line and not, just in the line. So, I don't see anything, problem with it. It'd be no different if he came and, from a Florida school and he had been, there his last stop. You expect him to go back where he's familiar and they recruit all across the nation. So, I just think Texas is a place that they'll definitely look into every year and try to build a connection year in and year out.
Absolutely. So, like we mentioned before, Gibson Pyle is the second member of the 2024 class at Nebraska from the state of Texas. The first one was Roger Gradney, who I believe was a February 20th commit. So, Gibson making the call on April 1st. It was not a April Fool's Day from Gibson Pyle. But before we get into him, just a little bit of background, we're going to show you some highlights of Gibson here. Primarily, he's playing tackle down at Klein. I think we have a left tackle and then maybe a right tackle highlight in there, a couple of them. But when he gets to campus, during the conversations he talked about his commitment with Inside Nebraska, and he said the conversations with offensive line coach Donovan Raiola. Although he's playing tackle right now, the vision for him at Nebraska is as an interior lineman at either guard or center. So Jay, one thing I wanted to ask you before we get into it is, when you're a young kid, Gibson's a junior right now going into a senior year next season, and he's primarily going to be a tackle, I assume, but then making that transition to an interior spot, guard or center in college, how difficult is that? Like, what goes into that?
Well, I mean, it's just first of all, the good thing about he's starting his college career possibly playing in the interior. So, in that sense, I don't think it's that hard. But when you're playing, tackle pretty much, I'm assuming his whole, football career, even from youth football, the angles are different. And then, how you go and block at the second level is different. But the fact that he's played tackle, and also so that he knows what the guards are going to have to do. So I don't think the transition will be hard from a mental standpoint. I just think he's going to have to get used to the steps and stuff like that. And that'll be seamless because when you watch his highlights, he moves pretty well. He's pretty physical. Obviously, runs his feet on contact. And sometimes, you might be 6'4" in high school playing tackle, but in the Big Ten, you might be perfect for a 6'4" guard that can move interior. It'll allow you to get out on edges and be able to get to the second and third level possibly. And so it'd be a good move, and possibly center as well. And when you see his highlights, you can see that he can move. So I don't think the transition will be too hard for him. The terminology is going to be fresh. All the teaching techniques are going to be fresh. So really, whether he's playing tackle in college or guard or center, everything's new. So it's good that he gets to start fresh at a new position.
Cool. Let's get into the highlights here. We just picked a few of them out that we liked. Looks like he's the right tackle right now.
Yeah.
Jay, what do you see here getting to the second level, huh?
Well, yeah, good. I mean, it's just you like him. The good quickness off the ball is what I like, right? And that's what I first if I'm looking at alignment, I'm looking, how quickly he's coming off the ball and his pad level on contact. Obviously, number 21 was got the blunt of forced trauma right here. But you like the athletic ability, knowing exactly where he's going. He's uncovered here, so that means that he doesn't have a guy lined up right in front of him. He knows he's not blocking that linebacker because they're running some sort of trap play, right? Trying to influence that linebacker to run out wide and try to get it with a quick hitter and run actually right off of his tail. But then you like for his ability to get up there and try to get his hands and get a knockdown against one of those little squirmy little defensive backs. And then he finishes right there, right? So I like more, granted, him versus 21, he needs to win 100% of the time. But I like the mentality and the energy that he plays with. And you can tell he's, if you look at the other linemen as well, they come from a school that doesn't shy away from contact. And so for him to be able to play guard, that's exactly a guard block that he might be having to do in any offense in the Big Ten.
And this next highlight switching over to the left side, left tackle, just showing that meanness, I guess, to get his hands on somebody and not let go and drive him to the ground.
Look, if you want to look, offensive line is not a glory type of position. So if you want to get noticed, once you get on somebody, you're going to the echo of the whistle. So again, I like it. The good steps. I like the leverage. You see his pads are low because he's a big old tall kid, right? So that's how you start to dump truck somebody. And look, the pads are good. He's driving his feet on contact. And once he knows he has them going down to the ground, he does what he's supposed to do. And that's finish the block and finish them all the way through the echo of the whistle. But I'm looking at the little things, right? Pad level, quickness off the ball, the ability to know where you're going. And then when you find out where you're going, the base is still good, right? So these are all things that I'm sure the coaching staff is looking at and trying to that could possibly translate to Nebraska is the quickness, pad level, right? So this is something that when, they're in group work and they're working on techniques, he can possibly make a transition, hopefully in a year or two, to be a productive player. And the mentality is there, which is probably jumps off the screen, for the most part, but also the technique and the fundamentals is really good as well.
What I really liked about this play is at the end of it, he knew that it was a really good block and he shot up, looked at his sideline, looked at his coaches like, yeah, let's do that again. Give me another shot. I really like that.
You want a guy that plays the offensive line that wants to be physical and is happy to go out there and inflict pain on somebody. And so what you look for, really, what this is telling you, he's a tempo setter.
Yeah.
That lets you know he's running hot, right out there from the jump. And so that's what you want. I mean, that's part of the evaluation process. You don't want a lineman that sometimes plays hard, sometimes is physical, sometimes look like he gives effort. Now, granted, we're looking at his highlights, but you could tell by his mentality, this is how he plays. This is how he lives every day, when it comes to football. So his transition, leasing from a mental and a mentality standpoint, will be seamless to the college level.
Yeah, 100%. Right here again, another left tackle here. I really like this. Again, he's going against a smaller player, but still doing his job, which is exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, I mean, you only can play against who you're going against, and the team that he's playing has some good-looking athletes out there. So look, this is not, he's not playing against some chumps. And so look, number 20 came in there and just, he came again. You come into the club with a fake ID. You meet the bouncer that doesn't, want your $20. He's going to take number 20 and throw him out the club. So you like this again from a mentality. It's a perfectly fine block, and you like for him to set the tempo. What I like about, at least obviously he's playing in high school, is, he is understanding the mentality that you have to play offensive line with, and that's you got to be nasty, and you're not dirty, but you are playing. He is not playing offensive line to make friends, and that's what you want. And those are guys, obviously everything else has to come together, but the mentality that can be infectious in the sense of, going to the whole team and into other players. And you see a play here. I don't know if what these guys did. I don't know if they on social media said he wasn't that good. But
Something happened,
again,
maybe.
yeah, this is this is a la San Francisco, Trent Williams, when he, knocked the linebacker from Atlanta the next week. Look, he's uncovered again.
Yep.
This is a you can translate this to guard. He's got to get to the second level. And on contact, what I liked is he rolls his hips and changes his leverage, and he gets a pancake here. So this is when, he's coming off, he knows exactly where he's going, right? And then you start to see where I call it killing grass. So as he's coming up, he's making sure that he has a good base. And then when he's going, he drops his hips right there. And then, the physicality and the finish right there is what you like. To the ground, through the whistle, obviously body on the defender, and imposing his will on him. So this is all good stuff that the Nebraska coaching staff is probably pretty excited about.
And this is one of my other favorite ones. They got him moving out for this receiver screen, got him hunting out in the open, and he did his job as well.
Yeah, I'm sure, Coach Rhule and Marcus Satterfield were probably more excited about this play than any, because this was a staple, at least in the Baylor offense, right? Smoke screen, jailbreak screen. You need big athletic offensive linemen. Both the guard and tackle have to get out there. So essentially he'd be playing the other position. But what you like is the athletic ability and the finish ability to not only get his hands on that little guy, but, if the pass was a little bit better, that's up there, that wants to go up the hash. And so that's a touchdown, but it's all started with this block here. When you look at right here, most linemen they can run out there, but can't hit their target. So that lets you know he has athletic ability, quickness, and obviously he has good fundamentals with footwork as well. And the finish there, that finish there probably needs to be on his Instagram or something profile, where the guy's just laying on the ground right here. Right there, he needs to find that still shot and then, put it on his social media.
Yeah, I knew this was an incomplete pass, but still, I wanted to show it because it shows you that he can get out there and he can move at 6'4", and he told us he was up to 300 pounds at Inside Nebraska. So, just a big athletic kid who, again, look at his highlights, and his high school coaches were obviously comfortable with putting him in those situations to get him out in the open and go hunt in the open. So, but yeah, I think we got one more here, and we can call it, but. It looks like a little counter action here, right. Coming around from that left tackle spot again.
Yeah, this is the old Washington Redskins. It's called counter tray, right? You got the guard and tackle pulling, but what you like here is the athletic ability, and he pulls tight, right? So he's pulling tight. So that means, look, when he's pulling, he's not standing straight up. It's good. It's kind of we call it either a bucket step or kick step. When you pull, right, you got to get a shuffle back. But look at the footwork here that you like, right? No false steps, trailing on the hip of big 73, tight, looking for the first sign of color, right? And he sees number, I think it's 42 right here. Now, again, we're going to look at the leverage, and we're going to look at the leg drive, right? Meet on contact, explode through contact, run your feet, and just run them into the ground. Now, look, you can't look at the end play as far as the fumble, but all I'm looking at, I'm looking at the great fit. That might be the best one of all time, just because he gave him a forearm right underneath the chin. See, this is what I like right here, just the nastiness. And I'm a defensive player. I want to see defenders like that, but I can roll with a guy like that. Number one, look at the athletic ability here, pulling up there. Now, granted, it's high school, and this is all you can evaluate him on. You see why. I'm sure that I can't speak for the staff. I'm sure they're pretty excited. I know Coach Rhule is probably excited watching him, because I like when you see a guy pull tight. So then, therefore, the running lanes will be clear for the running backs, right? You can get some big plays, right? Because when it's tight like that, it's actually blurry for the defender. And that's how you get caught and blown up like this by 42, because he's thinking 71's blocking him. Oh, 71's not blocking him. He's going to the other linebacker. Well, here comes the Undertaker right here. And now now you're just low, and now you're in survival mode, and he didn't survive. He definitely got finished. And so, again, I think the biggest thing with Pyle here is I think he's going to be a really good, transition, really good to guard, because I think those, he has a mentality for that, right? He's always going to be in the mix. I think you're going to see him finishing blocks, guard or center. So he's a tempo setter. I think the biggest thing for him is his athletic ability, his footwork, and he plays with really good leverage. And so that's why obviously he's a Power 5 recruit. But I think the biggest thing that he could do, and then this is just coming from his film in high school, and I can't look. I mean, if I had 2 years from now, we could talk about that. But his physicality and his mentality and his I guess zest for physical play is is and will be infectious. Now, will he be like that as a true freshman? No, but he has it in him. Coach Donnie Raiola will bring it out of him. And as he gets bigger, faster, stronger, and more confident in playing at the college level, whether it's in the second year or maybe his first year or second year or third year, the things that you see on tape, you'll start to see, out there in Memorial Stadium. And so right there, I think it's a good thing. You look for a leader, whether it's through their actions or, both their words and actions. And he looks like he fits the script, definitely fits the script, especially with his actions.
Yeah, Gibson Pyle just sounds like, if you were to hear the name Gibson Pyle and you didn't know anything about him, you'd think that he was an offensive lineman from the state of Texas.
You know what he sounds like? He sounds like Gibson Pyle is a folk hero offensive lineman that you hear about that's down in the dusty town in like Texas, Odessa, Texas.
Yes.
At the bar, and oh crap, here comes Gibson Pyle, or he's the guy that some, city slickers come to the bar, they get a little rowdy and drunk, and he throws them out, and you always are hearing about Gibson Pyle. I think it fits the script, man, because if he shows up with a big old 10-gallon hat,
yeah,
and overalls, he'll first of all, he'll fit right in at Nebraska. Second of all, it'll fit his name. So I think they're pretty happy, and I'm sure look, the more the merrier. I like that the emphasis is on offensive linemen, obviously in the 23 class, and obviously him coming in, and the look of these offensive linemen. Look, we know not every recruit is going to pan out, right? I mean, that's just that. It doesn't matter if it's Nebraska or Alabama, but the more guys that you can get that will be able to be productive players will make everybody better, right? And so then therefore when your offensive line starts to improve, guess what else improves just by going against them? Your defensive line. And so, I like the approach, regardless if he's from Texas, Nebraska, or Minnesota or Mars, as long as he can play and put on that Nebraska helmet, I'm all for it.
Absolutely. All right. So that was Gibson Pyle, a class of 2024 offensive lineman from Klein Kane High School in Klein, Texas. So that was Jay Foreman. I am Steve Marik, and that was a Blackshirt Breakdown. We'll see y'all next time.